TYS Prime. I am your host, Podcast Works, aka Fireworks, with my co-host here.
You know who it is, Podcast Eagle, aka Eagle Lee, the Sage Assist Schemes, representing the Matrix. Was good.
Gang shit, you already know TYS shit, you already know what it is. Coming at you with a new episode of the TYS Prime podcast. Today we're gonna tackle a hot topic, if you will, regarding P. So P, I really shouldn't explain who he is, but he works for URL, works with the development of new talent. He replaced Norbs. You know what I mean? So he's doing what Norbs used to do on URL, essentially. So recently, there's been some battlers that have been complaining about how they weren't given opportunities, or they just argued about like their bookings and whatnot, towards P. Essentially, they said that the main problem with their directions and all that good stuff in their futures on URL is because of P. Now, a couple of these guys dropped certain blogs. You feel me? Airing out their grievances towards P. Most notably Benji Lolo, Gwitty, Spanish Harlem, Brooklyn Carter, all that good stuff. You feel me? And the most notable one I would say was Spanish Harlem. He did like a whole hour and some change blog, I believe, on Hip Hop is Real. Where he talked about, like, I guess, P and the whole Crucible process, and then all that good stuff. You know what I mean? He I think that was the most impactful blog out of all the people that were grieving out their or stating their cases as to why P is the problem to their success and whatnot. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was like CM Punk dropping the pipe bomb on Raw. You feel me? It was equivalent to that, essentially. So it's a very good blog. It's kind of lengthy, but if y'all have the time, definitely check that out. So some key points. Pretty much P is going to take the guys that have argued or complained about their opportunities, and he's going to book them. It's a whole card, judged. P says this is an opportunity. He's providing it as a way to for these battlers to put the money where their mouth is, to prove and show, essentially. With some stipulations. Stipulations are that if they lose, they are to sit from URL. They cannot battle on URL for 2 years. Whereas if their opponents win, or if their opponents lose, they have to sit down from URL for about 6 to 8 months. So there were some matchups. The matchups were Benji Lolo versus Jackboy Maine, Ace Amin versus Gwitty, Don Marino versus Spanish Harlem, and Brooklyn Carter versus Your Honor. Now, P also did like a three-part vlog or interview on Angry Fan 007, where he was explaining this card, and he gave some insight on it as well. In that blog, he also mentioned that Drugs also agreed to this card. And before he was about to reveal the matchup for Drugs, Angry Fan kind of cut him off. So like we don't know what that matchup is. So Drugs is essentially on this card. We just don't know what his opponent is. P is not going to pick the judges for this card, but the battlers will come together and pick their own judges. And yeah, that's pretty much all the main points of this shit. So with all these stipulations and all these points that I just mentioned about this upcoming card, how do you feel about that, Eagle? Give us your thoughts.
Well, this one is when this first got announced or pointed out, or when I was first made aware of this, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was exciting. I thought it was the spirit of competition. We got P out here giving opportunities to battlers who may or may not deserve it, depending on the eyes of whoever, it's subjective and it depends on people. I watched the Angry Fan Radio interview And I found it interesting when Angry Fan was like, "So is this competition or is this personal?" And there was a part of me that went, "You know what? Like, I wouldn't put it past P for this to be more than just competition. This might just be a way to like shut battlers up essentially. And if I put on my conspiracist hat, like just a little tightly, just fasten the tinfoil a bit. I don't know. URL has been tested a lot recently by people outside of the battle rap community. I remember when who was it? The owner of KLTD did a little ago, and even more recently, ARP did a little run, couple maybe weeks before, maybe like a week before the whole thing. So I feel like URL is being slightly pressured, and P was like, "Hey, now we've got battlers complaining, starting to get a bit out of hand. Might need to smack some of these battle rappers into line, you know." So I don't. That's me being a super conspiracist. I don't know for sure. How do you feel, Fireworks? Maybe I'm just way off.
So I kind of agree with you. I as much as P wants to deny that it's not personal, you feel me? I think low key it is kind of personal. You know, he probably didn't enjoy these battle rappers airing his business out there. You feel me? Speaking bad on his name and whatnot. You know what I mean? And you know, shout out to P. You know, he came on Angry Fan. He dodged no smoke. You feel me? He literally like talked to a bunch of these battle rappers. You feel me? Told them his personal opinions on some of them. You feel me? Most notably Gwitty. He said that Gwitty was not that good, and that's why he's not on URL. All that good stuff, you know, which is hilarious.
P.
You know what I mean?
That man P. He's one. I don't know how to feel about him. Sometimes he comes off as extremely calculated, but sometimes he's just loose with it and just says, "Hey, Gwitty, you are not that good." Bro, I was cracking up. I was actually cracking. I was like, "This man is." That's the most unprofessionally professional thing. No, most professionally unprofessional thing I've ever heard come from this man's mouth. That was so wild, and he said it to the man's face as well. So he no smoke, whatsoever.
He was wilding out, bro. He was wilding out on that live. So like, you know, kudos to him, I guess, for you know, taking the shots like a man and addressing these guys. You feel me? So a couple other points about this. All the you know, I'm gonna refer to them as Team URL. You know, Jack Boy Main, Don Marino, Your Honor, Ace Amin, Drugs. You feel me? The guys that are, you know, on URL. They all agreed to this card. You feel me? They all agreed essentially. You feel me? They all said, yeah, fuck it. They don't feel like they got shit to lose. You feel me? And that shows that they're confident. You know what I mean? However, from the other side, the non-URL guys, the Gwitties, the Gwitties, the Spanish Harlems, Brooklyn Carter, Benji Lolo. Some of them have not agreed to this shit. You feel me? Benji most notably said he's not doing it because the business is not right and the stipulations are stupid. Right? Spanish Harlem says that he don't battle no more. You feel me? Gwitty is really the only one that agreed to this shit, and he says he's real confident. You know, he says that he'll beat. You know what I mean? So that's insane. And then Brooklyn Carter, I believe he's with it. It's just like nothing is set in stone with him just yet. You know what I mean? So
according to part 1 of whatever the blog was, and maybe a bit of part 2, P hadn't even told Brooklyn what's going on, and the interview was the first time, if Brooklyn was watching at the time, he would have even heard about it, which is kind of weird actually. In fact, now that I think about it, they mentioned something about it. He was originally supposed to be on the opposite side, but then P realized Brooklyn Carter's already on Smack.
Yeah, definitely. And Brooklyn Carter has been on Smack, just not a lot. You feel me? Like I think his latest URL battle was on Survivor Series Onyx versus I forgot his opponent. But
I couldn't tell you either.
yeah, it was an app battle. I forgot, but he did really good in that battle. He won 2-1 possible 30. I forgot who his opponent was.
Solid.
Oh, it was versus Presidential Dubs. That's who he battled. Yeah, slept on
Mm.
battle. I think Brooklyn Carter like really did good on that battle. Like his performance was dope as hell. But yeah, man. With him, it's just like the opportunities are not there for. I guess that was what he was complaining. You know what I mean about like the names. He's not getting the names. He's not getting recognition. All that good stuff. But when I'm hearing that these other guys are like essentially not with it, you feel me? Like this is a chance to, like P said, prove the point. You know what I mean? To put their money where their mouth is. To prove and show. You know what I mean? Why they
Mm-hmm.
belong on URL. All that good stuff. You know what I mean? So you can't have it both ways. You know what I mean?
I
That
know
being
what you
said,
mean.
that being said, some of the stipulations are a little bit rough. For the lack of a better word, you can't battle on URL for 2 years. That's insane. That's like essentially taking money from like someone's someone's pockets. You know what I mean? Like money that they could be using to feed their families,
Uh,
all that good stuff. You know what I mean? So
mm-hmm.
it's a gray area essentially. You know what I mean?
Um, well, I
Yeah,
mean, it depends. Like, it depends on the nature of the contracts. I mean, obviously, the people that aren't on URL like that, they're not on URL like that. They can still go back on other leagues. But the people that are on Team URL, can they battle in other leagues? I mean, I've seen actually they probably can. I mean, I've seen Ace Amin and Drugs definitely hop on a few other leagues.
yeah.
Uh,
And
I guess Don.
definitely Jack as well, because Jack just recently
Yeah,
battled on We Go Hard. He just battled Brooklyn Carter on We Go
fair
Hard.
enough.
So
Yeah,
there's that. You
and
know
Don
what I mean?
Marino
So
can always go back to Gates. Yeah, I get. It's not
exactly.
the end of the world if they sit down for 6 to 8, and even then, eventually, Angry Fan pressured P like, "Yo, is it gonna be 6 months or 8 months?" And then P was like, "Okay, 8 months, 8 months, 8 months." So 8 months of sitting down. If for your runner's a troll, man. Why did this guy say he would sit down for 9 months and even and even like add some money on top of it or something like that? This guy, your runner, is wild, and bro, I don't understand his man whatsoever.
For real.
Guy has no chill,
Now,
no chill.
now let's say in a perfect world, let's say everyone agreed to these stipulations and the whole card was booked. You know what I mean? With these matchups, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What are your predictions? Benji Lolo versus
That
Jack Boy Main, Ace Amin versus Gwitty, Don Marino versus Spanish Harlem, Brooklyn Carter versus Your Honor. Like, what are your predictions?
Well, your Honor's just gonna have to sell for 8 months, that's for sure. Brooklyn Carter is definitely being that man. No one can tell me different. Um, I have not watched enough Spanish Harlem to know whether he'll beat Don Marino. And Don Marino, he gives me kind of inconsistent vibes. I don't know how to feel. I've never watched the Gwitty battle in my entire life. I'm not gonna lie to you, never. So I don't know. But he's talking hella spicy though, so who knows? He might shine against Asamin. I don't know. And Jack, I'm not gonna lie, Jack Boy's been on a tear recently. Like for all the shit that we give him about the chain and losing to John and choking against franchise right after, the man's been on a killing spree, arguably. Like so, I
Yeah,
don't know,
definitely,
man.
definitely, definitely. I
Can't.
agree. I think Jack has definitely had a resurgence recently. You know what I mean? Whether it's like a small name or a mid tier or whatever, you know what I mean? He's definitely doing his numbers, you know what I mean? And he definitely did his numbers in the tournament, you know. He has a judge win over a top tier, in T Top, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And that was
Yeah.
one of like that's definitely a highlight in Jack's career, you know what I mean, and his resurgence. So
That
shout out to
is
Jack. Shout out to
definitely,
Jack for that.
definitely.
My predictions will go a little bit like this. So Benji Lolo versus Jack Romaine. I got Jack 2-1 possible 30.
Who?
There's a performance based battle. Benji is known for going viral, and he's done that a few times already with his little performance antics. You know what I mean? Not familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely look him up. You know what I mean? But yeah. So Jack, but I just think Jack's energy and I don't know. He has better bars in my opinion than Benji. So Jack 2-1, possible 3-0. Ace on me versus Gwitty. I have watched Gwitty battles. I'm sorry, I gotta kind of have to agree with P. Gwitty is not that great.
No, green.
He's not that great. You feel me? And I don't really see people, asking for Gwitty or any type of demand for him to be on URL. Whereas people have been asking for Benji Lolo, surprisingly enough. So there's that. But Ace
Fair
on me with
enough.
Gwitty, I got Ace on me 30. I just don't think Gwitty can write with Ace Amin. Don Marino versus Spanish Harlem, I think, is the battle that could possibly be the most debatable out of these non-URL guys. I think Spanish Harlem has the best pen out of all of them, and he has pretty good performance. I have seen a few of his battles. I think he's a sleeper pick. I think he definitely should have been on URL more. In my opinion, he got robbed in the Crucible. So that's how I feel about that matchup. Yeah, I think that battle could be debatable. It could be a fire one too. Brooklyn Carter versus Your Honor. Man, I'm going based off what have you done lately on this. Brooklyn Carter is dope. I think he's another guy that should be on URL. I think he's or should be on URL more, because he's already been there. Your Honor, we know what Your Honor can do. He creates moments. He has like at least one, two, or three moments. In all his battles. His main problem is the stumbles and the chokes, which he's recently been doing. He's been looking real shaky. So if Brooklyn Carter and Your Honor ever gets locked in for real, I got Brooklyn 2-1. I think Your Honor will steal around, but yeah, man. Just Brooklyn Carter is hungry, and I feel like he wants it more than Your Honor. You know what I mean? And you saw Your Honor's like mannerisms and his attitude in that 3-part blog. You know what I mean? It's almost as if he didn't care. You know what I mean? As if he was all right with sitting out for 6 to 8 months. You know what I mean? So. Like I'll take the battler that has more hunger in them over the person that doesn't really care or is not gonna try. You know what I mean? So that's how I'm calling that.
Yeah.
So we got two clears and essentially one debatable, and actually 3 clears and 1 debatable. So that's how I'm calling that.
That is wild. And that depends. Oh yeah, and then we still got Drugs, who's battling out somebody. Drugs was a bit. I know Drugs wanted to battle Benji from the sounds of the podcast, but P was like, "No, he's battling Jaguars." Oh, okay. One other thing, the way Angry Fan pointed out that Drugs this is not the best deal for Drugs, because Drugs is literally just kind of made a resurgence. I don't want to say he's been like winning consistently, but like, wait, actually, he did well versus Prep. He did have Mr. Wavy was a while before that, and then the resurgence of some sort. Maybe not like a winning resurgence, but he's just started, getting back on track. Why would he risk then sitting down for 8 months off of your? This ain't the time, strategically. Especially as someone that wants to see Drugs succeed, essentially.
Yeah, I agree. It's a risky one for Drugs, you know what I mean? But hey, if he says he's with it, then it must mean that he's also confident in his skills. But yeah, man. Any final thoughts before we close out the episode?
Sit down, 16 months. Come together and pick how would they go on to pick their own judges? Because if all of them pick 3 different judges, does that mean we're going to have 12 people sitting in a room going, for each individual battle? And it's just...
I think it's more of like I think it's more of a group thing. You know what I mean? I think it's like they all come together as a group to pick, three uh notable judges. That was the episode. I was your host, Podcast Works, with my co-host.
Podcast Eagle.
This was the TYS Prime Podcast Network. Signing out. And we out of here. Peace.